The secret life of a nomadic YouTuber. How do I choose the stories that I do, the graves that I visit, so forth and such? Oftentimes it comes down to many components. A couple of those are, is it going to get a lot of views? Is it a story that for some unknown reason that I'm heavily interested in? Have a lot of people talked about it? Have not many people talked about it? It could be just as simple as a picture of somebody that I see that kind of tugs at my heartstrings, or somebody that's very attractive. I could probably list 10 other things. So one of the stories that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, even though it's really an overdone story, is the story of the Dilinger gang that was led by, air quotes here, led by John Dilinger. Now, I've been kind of going over the John Dilinger story in my head for the last 6 months. And when I say that, I mean, like, how do I do this video? Because I've already visited his grave, right? That was an easy video. I didn't do much driving. I'm not in any precarious areas of town. It's pretty much, I just walk through the cemetery like I'm doing now, show the grave, and I gotta go. But there's more to the story, a very complex story, beyond just the grave of John Dilinger. I mean, I haven't been to any banks that he robbed. I haven't been to any locations where he's responsible for the murders of up to 13 law enforcement officers, whether it be by his own hand or a member of his gang. I haven't been to the location where he was captured and killed. How do I do this? Do I do it all in one video, or do I break it up into several different videos? I don't know. For me to do a video from start to finish about John Dilinger, I'd have to do quite a bit of driving, including going out to Arizona. And so, as I still mull over the idea of what to do about this video, and if I even want to go to all of the locations of where they did their dirty work, there is one man who's responsible for giving John Dilinger his name, or at least start in giving him his famous or his infamous story. And that is Captain Matthew Leach of the Indiana State Police. The reason why we know who John Dilinger is because, well, when Dilinger had escaped jail over in Lima, Ohio, he wanted to somehow send a message to the gang, or at least kind of infiltrate them via the newspaper by creating some infighting, if you will. Now, Harry Pierpont is a name that you probably don't know. Unless you're into old crime, then you do know who he is. But Harry Pierpont is what a lot of people believe is the real leader of the Dilinger gang, or at least bare minimum, the architect, if you will, of this gang. Harry Pierpont is the one that is responsible for what I like to call the Dilinger escape plan, breaking Dilinger out of the Allen County Jail. And in the process, a lawman was brutally beat to death. But this guy, he didn't care about being wrote about or written about in the newspaper. He just cared about just being a gangster, robbing, stealing, and killing. And this guy was, you know, when you say tough as nails, this guy would be amongst the many names on that list of just tough guys. Very tough guys. Harry was born on October 13th, 1902 in Indiana. Now, he grew up in a working class family, and he wasn't a bad kid growing up. You wouldn't have described him as a troublemaker, a problem child, none of that. Just a regular kid, just like any other kid growing up here in Indiana. Now, according to his mother, who, Harry could do no wrong. Even when he was arrested and tried for the murder of the Sheriff Sarber, when he was breaking out Dilinger, she believed that her son was innocent. Now, my son might have issues. He might have mental problems. But my boy, he's a good boy, and he didn't kill that man. My Harry, he would never do such a thing. Now, everything seemed to be going according to what normalcy is, or whatever you consider normal, until the summer of 1921. Harry had got into some kind of an accident and hit his head. He hit his head really hard. And his mom said, man, ever since that accident he hit his head, that boy ain't never been the same. Because all of a sudden, this guy started becoming like more angry, short-tempered. Things before that never bothered him. Now all of a sudden, he gets into a fit of rage over the damnedest thing. And he's becoming paranoid. Looking around his shoulder, is somebody watching me? Are you looking at me? What are you looking at? What the hell happened to that boy? My poor Harry, what is wrong with you? So in 1921, he was arrested for carrying a concealed weapon. Not a big deal. He might have done about a week in jail, but his mother, while he's in jail, she tells him, hey, my son has been not himself since such and such accident. He needs help. Please help him. Okay, so they take him to the state mental hospital for evaluation. And as they're looking at him, the doctors are saying, okay, well, this guy has dementia praecox, or what we call now schizophrenia. So he's diagnosed as a schizophrenic, and we're going to help this kid, right? So whatever it is that they did for him, eventually he gets out of the mental hospital. And as he gets out of the mental hospital, there's a reason why he likes guns. It's because he doesn't want to be like his dad. He doesn't want to be, shoveling rocks all day. No, that's for the birds. No, he wants to make money, and he wants to make it fast. And the only way he knows how to do it is by taking from others for himself. Now, Harry is starting to rob banks. But you can't just jump into the bank robbery industry. You need guns. And back in those days, back in the teens, the 20s, and the 30s, a good place to break into and steal guns was your local hardware store. You need a rifle, go to the hardware store. You need a pistol, go to the hardware store. Tommy gun, anybody? Let's go to the hardware store. So sometimes, even though they would lock up and they would have really good locks on them with burglar alarms, sometimes they would still break in and take whatever guns they want to. So Harry would break into this hardware store, I want to say it's in Lebanon, and he stole 9 handguns. Okay, so now he got a nice little arsenal. So the first time that he got into really deep trouble and got sentenced to the Indiana Reformatory prison, if you will, is when he tried to rob this guy and beat him half to death. So eventually he gets caught. They don't label the crime as an attempted murder. Not exactly those words, but it's something along like harmful intent to kill, something like that. So at the time, he's about, I think he's about 20 years old, 21 years old. So he gets locked up and he gets sentenced to 2 to 14 years at the Indiana Reformatory. Now his mom is like, please let my son out. He has mental problems. And, he's really a good kid, right? Okay, cool, sure. Now, the governor or whoever is at the time responsible for pardons, they refused to pardon him. They said no to clemency. But considering his youth, his young, he makes his first parole. So he ends up only doing about 2 years in prison. So oftentimes when you go to prison, guess what you do in prison? Prison normally designed to punish those and rehabilitate. Prison doesn't do that. All that happens most of the times in prison is you learn to be a better criminal. And that's what Harry did. And Harry learned as he was in the prison for those 2 years. He met other guys that he would later link up with when he got out. Guys that robbed banks, and he always wanted to rob banks. He never got a chance to the first time around, but this time when he gets out, when he makes parole, that's his plan. So he gets out and he starts collecting or hooking up with other people that he knew from the street that he met in prison, and they would form a gang of 6 or 7 guys, and they would go around Marion County, other counties outside of the Indianapolis area, Anderson, Lebanon, Greenwood, Greencastle, whatever, all these cities, right? And it's not like they were robbing banks left and right. Some of them, sometimes the robberies would end in abject failure. Or is it abject? Whatever that word is. So eventually, people start whispering on the street that Harry Pierpont is this gang leader and he's responsible for these guys committing these bank robberies around the counties over here. So one of the guys gets arrested because somebody seen him just counting like a big wad of cash. So they're like, who the hell is this guy? So they call the police. He gets hemmed up. And he says that, yeah, Harry Pierpont is the boss. Please don't take me to jail, please. Harry Pierpont forced me to do this. He forced me to do that. So eventually, slowly but surely, one by one, they would round up and lock up his gang. The last 3 guys that they would grab was Harry Pierpont, his friend Thaddeus Skier, and he also had James Whitey. His last name escapes me. Hayes, that's right, Hayes. Had to stop the video so I can get his last name. At least so I can give him some credit and also put his name down for a possible future video. So these 3 guys are tracked down to Detroit and eventually are arrested. Now the Detroit police, they have already been looking for Whitey because he was supposed to be a material witness in a murder case out there. So they arrest these guys, transport them back to Indiana, and Harry Pierpont, well, he's before the judge again. He's not learning his lesson. So he would eventually get 10 to 21 years in prison. So now he's going to be sitting on ice for quite some time. Now, while he's in prison, he earns the respect of many of the inmates and the guards too, because this guy can take a beating from guards. Like, he was incorrigible. As a matter of fact, he was so bad in prison that they actually sent him away to Michigan City after only 2 months. But during those 2 months, while he was at the Indiana Reformatory, he meets a local 2-bit thug named John Dilinger. Now, John Dilinger at the time is not the John Dilinger that we know today. He's just a 2-bit common criminal. So they, for some unknown reason, become friends, and John really respects this guy. And like I said, so do the inmates and the guards, because this guy, you can beat him half to death and he just wouldn't give in. He would do these hunger strikes where he wouldn't eat for 2 weeks. And you would almost have to take him to the hospital because he was so weak and dehydrated. Mentally and physically tough. They send him to Michigan City. So that would be it between the friendship between John Dilinger and Harry Pierpont. But no, they eventually sent John Dilinger, for whatever reason, to Michigan City, where he links up with Harry Pierpont again. So they're hanging out, and it's Harry's dream to escape this place. Now, they would hatch a plan in 1932, but that plan would fail. However, September 22nd, 1933, success. We have a successful prison escape. So there's 3 things that you need when you want to escape prison. You need money for bribes, you need guns, and you're going to need a safe house. You're going to need a place to hide out. So at this time, Dilinger was up for parole and it had been granted. So we're going to need John to hustle up some money, to get some guns, to pay some bribes, to break Harry and his friends out of prison. Now, I'm not exactly sure how, but Dilinger was able to smuggle in 3 guns into the prison. Some say it was through the laundry. Some say he paid off a guard. I mean, who the hell knows? To pay off a guard to smuggle guns in, I mean, I don't know. I think that's extreme. I'm thinking that he somehow paid somebody to look the other way, and he just did it. So Dilinger goes out, robs a couple banks, gets some money together, gets the guns, gets the money, gets the hideout, and Harry and about 7 or 8 other inmates basically overtake the guards, and holding them hostage, they go ahead and walk right out of the prison with 3 different pistols behind their backs. So they would force one of the guards or the deputy of the prison to drive them 20 miles away to a gas station. They get to the gas station and then they carjack some other guy and they force him to take them somewhere else. So they're away scot-free. There's only one problem. Not really a problem, but 4 days before the breakout, Dilinger had got arrested in Dayton, Ohio. So he gets arrested in Dayton. He's transferred to Lima, Ohio, and he's sitting in the Allen County Jail, and he's waiting to probably get transferred somewhere else. So at this time now, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you can leave Dilinger. Why is it our problem to help this guy out? But Harry was a man of his word, and he tells everybody, we're gonna get this guy out. We'll figure out a way to do it, but we're gonna get this guy out. Okay, so how the hell do you break out a guy from jail that is a very well-known criminal? And you would think it'd be kind of difficult, but this is the 1930s. Things like this happened all the time. So Harry tells his associates, he's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the jail, we're gonna dress up in suits, we're gonna pretend we're from the FBI, and we're just gonna walk into the jail and say, knock, 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 hello? Yes, hi, we're from the FBI, and we're extraditing John Dilinger back to Indiana to answer the charges from whatever bank that he robbed that landed him there in jail to begin with. That's a good idea. Let's do that. So, October 12th, 1933, they waltz over to the Allen County Jail in Lima, Ohio, ever so cool, ever so calmly, ever so confidently. So they walk into the jail, and Sheriff Jess Sarber is there, his wife is there, and there's a deputy along with him. So they're like, hey, I heard that you have a man in here by the name of John Dilinger. Well, we're here to extradite him back to Indiana to answer charges from a bank that he robbed in New Carlisle. And the sheriff says, okay, all right, let me see your credentials. Bam! Here's my credentials. Here's my credentials. If you make a move, I'm gonna bury this bullet right in your stinking skull. Get on the ground now. And you too, you dumb broad, get on the ground now. The deputy sees it. Get on the ground now. I'm gonna fill you full of 45 caliber hot lead. Get on the ground now. So they get everybody on the ground. They said, where's the keys to Dillinger's cell? He says, I ain't giving you nothing. I ain't giving you nothing. Take that gun and bam! Right in the back of his skull. They start beating the living tar out of this guy. A merciful beating, or is it unmerciful, or is it merciless? Whatever those words are, they're beating the crap out of him. I tell you what, that sheriff Sarber, he's a tough son of a gun. That guy's not giving them the keys, but his wife is there watching her husband get beat down, and she said, "For God's sake, Jess, give him the damn keys. They're gonna kill you." So finally, she just gets the damn keys and gives it to them. So they break Dilinger out of jail, and by the time the paramedics came to get the sheriff to the hospital, he died about an hour or so later. Beat that man to death. So now you got these guys who have just murdered a sheriff, and now they're on the run. So eventually, after they make their escape, they first went down to Florida And then I don't know why. I'm not really sure why, but they ended up going to Tucson, Arizona, a city that I have not been to in quite some time. There's a couple graves there I want to visit. So they went to Tucson, Arizona, and we will do this video when I get over there. I'll show you exactly where this happened at. But long story short, the only reason why they got caught and arrested was because there was a fire at a hotel they were staying at, and one of the firemen recognized Harry and John as being wanted for the murder of Sheriff Sarber. So they called the Tucson police. The police come with backup, and they arrested all the guys, all of the members of the gang that were at the hotel. And in their possession, they found a couple of Tommy guns, some pistols, blunt force type weapons that you use to beat somebody's brains in. And so eventually all the guys would get caught. Harry is extradited back to answer to the charges of the murder of Deputy Sarber. Dilinger is extradited back for all the other stuff, escaping, and probably going to get charged with that murder as well. However, Dilinger, who was put in a jail that they called escape proof, still managed to escape. He still manages to escape. However, Harry Pierpont would not be so lucky, if you will. So he's eventually tried and convicted of Sheriff Sarber's murder, and he's sentenced to die via the electric chair. Now, after being sentenced to die in Ohio's electric chair, Harry is sent to the Ohio Penitentiary. Now, this is a desperate man, but he has one more ace up his sleeve. So he, along with fellow Dilinger gang associate Charles Mackley, they come up with this clever ruse to escape. They're going to get soap, and they're going to mold them together until they resemble the shape of a gun. And they're going to break out of prison using this soap that looks like a gun. But, you know, guns aren't soap colored. So they would take shoe polish and they would, in a sense, paint the soap to the color of what guns are supposed to be like, right? Hey, I'm not going to lie, that's pretty clever. That's pretty clever. So they took the soap, and as Charles and Mackley are together, they pull out the soap on a couple of jail guards. Now, I don't know exactly how good of an artist Harry and Charles were with this soap. I really don't know. But apparently, they weren't quite good enough. The reason being is because, well, the guards seen the soap and they just immediately pulled out their real guns and shot them all up. As many bullets as they had. Bang, 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 pow. Bang, 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 bang. So in the process, Charles dies, and Harry, he lives. Like I told you, this is a really, really tough SOB. So he would live, but that shooting really, really, really took out the life from him, if you will. So for the rest of his time, while he was on death row, he was put in solitary confinement, and he just pretty much just kind of, I guess you can say, kind of withered away. Well, almost withered away. Not quite withered away, but withered away enough to where when they led him to the electric chair on October 17th, 1934, they didn't do the normal thing about saying, hey, do you have any last words? Yeah, Harry didn't have any last words. They didn't ask him if he had any, and he declined to make any. So that was it. I guess it was agreed upon that nobody said anything. So they strapped him into the electric chair and gave him 2,000 volts of Ohio justice. Witnesses said during the execution that as he sat down into the chair, he just kind of smiled. That was about it. That was about it. And of course, this is the final resting place of Harry Pierpont. As you can see, somebody has left some nickels. Okay. This is his mother, who died at the age of 78. Harry could do no wrong in her eyes. Harry could do no wrong. This is Fern Pierpont. Don't quote me on it. This might be his sister. I think she died of a disease when she was younger. And his brother, right here, he died in a car accident. And John Pierpont, well, I'm not really sure who this is. This could be the dad's dad, or this could be the grandfather. I'm not really sure. I don't see the father Pierpont, Harry's dad. Is he somewhere here? I don't believe the grave would be unmarked. I don't know. I'm sure he's somewhere here. But anyways, so an interesting story. I try to tell it as quickly as I can. This was actually supposed to be a story in a Faces in Death video at the cemetery. Unfortunately, this might be my last night here in Indy. I gotta get the heck out of here. So I just wanted to do this story now instead of wait until next year when I arrive over here. Unless I decide to come here for winter if it's unseasonably warm like last time. Well, rest in peace to the Pierponts. Payable in debt, as I always say. So, as I conclude this video, if you're still watching, because this video is kind of long, first of all, thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. And I think I decided, as I'm doing this video, instead of doing one long video about John Dilinger, maybe I'll just break it up into several shorter videos. Maybe I'll put a couple Dilinger videos in a you know, a dark side of whatever town he killed a cop in or whatever. So that video probably would take me way too long. It would probably take me about 6 months or so to complete. So I think I'm just going to break up the story. Anyways, okay guys, that's enough for me. I've yapped too much. We're going to cut loose. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to head over to the gym for a much needed shower. We'll see you in the next video. Be good, y'all. Peace out.